You know, for a long time, I believed that forgetting things was just part of growing older. I'd walk into a room and stand there, confused, wondering what I came for. I'd sit down with a book, read the same paragraph 3 times, and still not remember a word of it. Sometimes I'd forget my grandchildren's names or lose track of what I was saying mid-sentence. It felt like my mind was slowly slipping away from me, and no one really talked about it beyond saying, "It happens with age." But what if I told you that's not the whole story? I'll walk you through the 5 foods that helped me the most, and I'll tell you how they fit into my routine. I'll also share what science says about them, in simple terms, so you know this isn't just wishful thinking. If you've been forgetting more lately, or feeling like your mind isn't as clear as it used to be, this might help you too. Before we dive in, I'd love to know, where are you watching from today? Drop your city or state in the comments below. I always love seeing how far our community is reaching. 1. The first food that changed everything, blueberries. The first real change started with something so simple, I almost didn't believe it could matter. Blueberries. Just that. A fruit I'd passed by 1,000 times in the grocery store. I never gave it much thought. But one day, I heard a retired neurologist talking about memory and aging. She said that some foods, especially those rich in something called antioxidants, could actually nourish the brain, not just the body. And blueberries were at the top of her list. At first, I'll be honest, I was skeptical. Could a fruit really do that much? But something in me said, try it. So I bought a small box of fresh blueberries. Nothing fancy. Just a handful each morning with breakfast. I mixed them into plain yogurt, or sometimes I just ate them on their own. And I stuck with it, day after day. In the first few days, nothing really changed. But by the end of the second week, I noticed something. I felt more awake in the mornings. That heaviness in my head, the one that made everything feel cloudy, it started to lift. I didn't have to reread things as often. I was remembering little details again. And that feeling of being present, of actually being in the moment, it slowly started coming back. Later, I learned why blueberries are so powerful. They contain natural compounds called flavonoids, especially something called anthocyanins. That's what gives them their dark blue color. These compounds help protect the brain from damage and support healthy communication between brain cells. Real studies have shown that older adults who eat blueberries regularly have better short-term memory and learning ability. So it wasn't just my imagination. Something was really happening inside my brain. I'm not saying blueberries are a miracle cure. But I can say this, they made a real difference for me. Not overnight, not in some dramatic way, but quietly, gently, like someone turning up the light in a room that had gone dim. That's why, to this day, I still start my morning with a handful. It's become a little ritual, something I do not just for my body, but for my mind. 2. The brain's silent protector, avocado. After seeing how much of a difference blueberries made, I started thinking, if one small change helped this much, what else could I add? I went back to reading, listening to experts, and learning more about what the brain really needs as we get older. Over and over again, one message kept popping up: healthy fat is essential for brain health. And one of the best sources? Avocado. Now, I'll be honest with you. I used to think avocados were just a trendy food for younger folks. I didn't grow up eating them, and they always felt like a bit of a luxury. But once I understood what they could do for my mind, I decided to give them a try, not as a treat, but as a tool. Avocados are packed with something called monounsaturated fats, the kind of fat that actually helps keep your heart and brain healthy. These fats improve blood flow, and when your brain gets better circulation, it gets more oxygen and nutrients. That means your brain can think more clearly, store information better, and even stay calmer. Avocados also contain vitamin E, potassium, and folate, all nutrients shown to support brain function and protect against memory decline. So I started small. half an avocado a few times a week. Sometimes I'd slice it onto a piece of whole grain toast with a little lemon. Other times I'd dice it up into a salad. And occasionally, I blended it into a smoothie with banana and a bit of almond milk, creamy, smooth, and surprisingly good. The changes didn't hit me like lightning. But they came. Slowly, steadily. I started noticing I was more focused during conversations. I didn't drift off in the middle of my thoughts as much. My family even mentioned it. My daughter said I seemed sharper and more cheerful. And you know what? I felt it too. Not just mentally, but emotionally. Like I was more there, more me. The best part is, you don't have to eat avocados every day to see a difference. 2 or 3 times a week is enough. The key is sticking with it. Because when you feed your brain the right kind of fat, you're protecting your clarity, your confidence, and your connection to the world around you. 3. The memory seeds, walnuts and almonds. For most of my life, I was told to stay away from fats. Watch your cholesterol, they said. Fat makes you gain weight, they warned. So I spent years avoiding them, not realizing that in cutting out all fats, I was also starving my brain of something it desperately needed. It turns out that the brain is made up mostly of fat. And as we age, it needs healthy fats more than ever to keep functioning properly. That's when I learned about nuts, especially walnuts and almonds. I didn't expect much from something so small. But after everything I had experienced with blueberries and avocado, I knew better than to overlook anything. Walnuts are almost shaped like little brains, and it's funny, because they're one of the best foods for the brain. They're full of omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin E, antioxidants, and magnesium, all nutrients known to support memory, reduce inflammation in the brain, and help nerve cells talk to each other more clearly. Almonds, on the other hand, are rich in monounsaturated fats, protein, and important minerals like zinc and calcium, fuel for keeping your mind sharp and steady. I started with a small handful each day, maybe 5 walnuts and a few almonds in the morning, or as a mid-morning snack. Sometimes I mixed them into yogurt, other times I ate them plain. No salt, no sugar, just as they are. Within a few weeks, something beautiful began to happen. I started remembering more from my past. I could suddenly recall details I hadn't thought about in years, the smell of my childhood kitchen, the name of my 4th grade teacher, even a song we used to sing in class. These weren't things I was trying to remember, they just came to me, like old friends showing up unannounced. It felt like someone had turned the key to a door in my mind that had been locked for a long time. That's when I truly understood, memory isn't just about facts and names. It's about who we are. And feeding your brain the right foods, even something as humble as a handful of nuts, can help you hold on to the pieces that matter most. 4. The sweet that heals, dark chocolate. There was a time when I thought taking care of my health meant giving up all the things I enjoyed, especially sweets. I used to feel guilty for wanting something sweet after a meal. But then I learned that not all sweets are the same. And one, in particular, changed my mind completely: dark chocolate. I'm not talking about the milk chocolate bars you see near the checkout aisle, the ones filled with sugar, cream, and all kinds of things that don't belong in a healthy routine. No, I mean real dark chocolate, the kind that's at least 70% cacao or more. That's where the power is. Dark chocolate is rich in flavonoids, natural compounds that help improve blood flow to the brain, reduce inflammation, and protect neurons from stress and damage. In simple terms, it helps the brain stay sharp, alert, and calm. It even supports the release of serotonin and endorphins, the feel-good chemicals that boost your mood. I had no idea a small piece of chocolate could do all that. So I began a new habit: 1 small square of dark chocolate after lunch. That's it. Not a bar, not a dessert, just a square, the size of a postage stamp. I let it melt in my mouth slowly, no rush. It became a quiet moment I looked forward to, a gift to myself in the middle of the day. Over time, I noticed something. The afternoon brain fog I used to feel, it began to fade. I could focus better on reading. I was more relaxed, less anxious. One day, while having a snack with my grandchildren, fruit, nuts, and a bit of dark chocolate, something special happened. I remembered a story my mother told me when I was a child. Word for word. I hadn't thought about it in decades, but suddenly, there it was. Clear as day. Like it had been waiting all along. That's the thing about memory. Sometimes it just needs a little help, not from something artificial, but from something real. Something warm. Something that reminds you life can still be sweet. 5. The most powerful of all, water. Of all the things I changed in my routine, this one seemed almost too simple at first. It's not expensive. It's not hard to find. It's just water. But the difference it made, not only in how I felt physically, but in how clearly I could think, still amazes me to this day. Before, I didn't drink much water. I'd have coffee in the morning, maybe a glass of juice with lunch, and I'd sip a little here and there throughout the day. I thought that was enough. But I didn't realize that feeling tired, easily distracted, or having trouble focusing was often my brain's way of saying, I'm thirsty. Our brain is about 75% water. Every little signal it sends, every memory, every word, every thought, depends on being well hydrated. Without enough water, our brain literally slows down. The connections between cells become less sharp. We feel foggy, unmotivated, even moody. So I made a decision. Every morning, before coffee, before food, I drink one full glass of water. Then another before breakfast. During the day, I keep a small bottle with me, and even if I don't feel thirsty, I take regular sips. Nothing extreme. Just a gentle, steady flow of hydration. The results? They came fast. I stopped getting that heavy-headed feeling in the afternoon. My thoughts were quicker. I could recall names faster. I felt lighter, more awake. And something else happened, all the other good foods I was eating, they started working better too. That's because your body needs water to absorb nutrients. The omega-3s from walnuts, the antioxidants from blueberries, the healthy fats in avocado, they all do more when your body has enough water to carry them where they need to go. Even my sleep got better. I started waking up less at night, and when I did wake, I was able to fall back asleep more easily. That alone made my days feel brighter and my memory sharper. Sometimes we overlook the simplest things because they don't sound exciting. But this one change, is what tied everything else together. If you do nothing else, start with water. It's the easiest, most powerful gift you can give your mind every single day. What I gained, and what you can, too. When I first began making these changes, I just wanted one thing, to stop forgetting. I wanted to remember why I walked into a room, to read a page and know what I had just read, to tell a story to my grandchild without losing my train of thought. I wasn't trying to become younger. I just didn't want to feel like my mind was slowly fading. But what I found went far beyond memory. These 5 simple foods, blueberries, avocado, nuts, dark chocolate, and water, did something deeper. They didn't just help me think more clearly. They helped me feel like myself again. I started waking up with a little more energy. I laughed more. I found myself wanting to read again, to learn, to talk. That quiet fog, the one that had settled in without me noticing, began to lift. My sleep improved. My focus returned. I even signed up for a short online class, just to challenge myself again. And I remembered what it felt like to be curious, to feel present, to feel connected, not just to the world around me, but to who I am. If there's one thing I've learned through all this, it's that we don't have to accept every part of aging as unchangeable. Yes, some things slow down. Yes, the body gets tired more easily. But the mind, Your thoughts, your memories, your spark, it can still shine bright. Even now. You don't need expensive supplements. You don't need magic. Just small, steady changes in what you give your body, especially your brain, each day. If you're feeling forgetful lately, if you've noticed your focus slipping or your thoughts getting tangled, I want you to know, you're not alone. And you're not helpless. Start with one small change. A handful of berries. A glass of water. A little square of dark chocolate after lunch. These things are simple, but they're not small. They're steps, and every step matters. And now I want to ask you something. Have you made any changes to support your memory? Or are you planning to try one of these starting today? Please tell me in the comments, and let me know how old you are and where you're watching from. You never know, your story might be the one that gives someone else the courage to begin. Thank you for spending this time with me. You're not too late. You're right on time.